Hey you guys, what's up? This is Off Topic Games here with a deck profile or maybe even deck analysis for you guys. This one is on Overlord Kagero post G-BT07, so it has all the new support and stuff. This is the deck that I'm running, and then I'll show you possible options that you can have for the deck as well. So for our starter, we run Lizard Hero Undo. This card is a pretty good card. I really like it. It's very consistent and helpful. So GB, one effect, counterblast 1, put this card into your soul. You search for an Overlord and you add it to your hand. So what it serves as is help for Dragonic Overlord the Legend if you need a grade 3 to use its own effect, if you need a stride fodder for next turn, or if you need a discard fodder for Dragonic Overlord the Ace. It's very helpful and it comes in handy very often, or somewhat. Or it's just nice to search an Overlord to use up your counterblast, call the Conroe, discard or search out an Overlord with the card you just searched, discard an Overlord, and then filter through your deck and then use Conroe skill if you need to. In general, it's just a very nice card and I like it, so I run it. It's also shiny, I guess. What's I should mention is the deck is almost max rarity. I still need 4 SP burnouts, but they're very expensive and people value it very high, so it's hard for me to get them. But that's okay, everything else is pretty maxed out. I do optimize this deck, so I'm running like non-shiny triggers as well, because I want like Gatling Claw for example, but it's okay. For our triggers, we run 4 Gatling Claw. Gatling Claw is a draw trigger, counterblast 1, put in soul, retire a grade 0. So it's good retiring the starters, and it's good for gaining soul and stuff. And lastly, we run one more draw trigger. It's the art pick, Seal Dragon thing. Margot Clone, put in the soul, choose a card, gets +3. It's nice, don't really use it, but it's helpful, I guess, if you need it. It's also Flame Dragon, same thing with Gatling Claw, so it's searchable with the Legend. So 5 draw triggers. Next we run 7 crit. 3 of which are the vanilla Flame Dragon ones. Flame Dragon crit, vanilla doesn't really matter too much, but I guess some people like it. So I guess I run it. I will run 3 of different art, it's whatever. Yeah, not much to say about it. Next we run 4 of the Janet. It's the crit trigger for Blade Master, so it only works with Titan because we don't run the grade 3 Blade Master. But you put in soul, you draw a card, and your Vanguard or Blade Master gets +5,000. They're all SP, and it looks really, really nice if you see the foiling. It's like really nice. Anyways, yeah, I prefer this over the vanilla crits that's Flame Dragon because it's very helpful. It's disposable and it has an effect, so you can just call it and swing with it, and it also helps for boosting rearguards that needs to hit. Like, let's say you have a 9k and your opponent doesn't have any boosters because you killed them, or attackers because you killed them. You can call this behind a 9k and it makes an okay lane to swing at the Vanguard. So it's okay because it's disposable and stuff. Lastly, we run 4 Flame Dragon heals. 2 of which is the Seal Dragon 2's Mother Orb. I don't really care which one, but I have 2 of each. Sometimes I do search it with the Legend, not often, but it can come in handy when I feel like it does. So I guess the option is nice. If I didn't care at all and it wasn't a competitive deck, I'd run the foil ones because, you know, max rarity and all foily looks nice. But it's okay. I mean, this deck is pretty competitive, so I use these. For other triggers that you can use, a lot of Japanese players are opting to use this stand trigger. Inspire Yell Dragon. It's a Flame Dragon, so it is searchable with the Legend. What its effect is, it has Blaze. When your Vanguard becomes blazing, you can put this to the bottom of your deck, draw a card, and then choose one of your units. It gets +5,000, and then you shuffle your deck. So it's good because it will always go back to the deck. It's a disposable booster / attacker, and it's just nice, I guess. It can be like awkward, I guess, with like Nahalem, but it kind of works out, so it's just a good card. You can run it if you want. I prefer the crits over the stands, unfortunately. I love the stand build. You can try it if you want, but I believe in this specific meta, or the Hawaii meta, that crits may be more optimal, unfortunately. But yeah. There's also this other stance, the G-BT01 stand. When your opponent's rearguard is put into the drop zone by an effect, or one of your effects, you can put this back to the deck, and it gains, and you choose a card and it gains plus 10,000. What's really cool about this specific card is a combo that you can do. You should always try it. It's really cool. It's like the dream. I say it a lot, but it's really cool. Anyways, you use like a Denial Griffin or a Defeat Flare, and you kill their cards on their turn, and then let's say this is on the field. Use this effect because it's an auto. Put this back to the deck, choose one of your card units, and it gets plus 10,000. So you can choose, in other words, your Vanguard, and it gets plus 10,000 until the end turn. So it's a 21,000 Vanguard. The Vanguard's 21,000 for the turn. And I believe it says choose one of your other units, so it's very possible that you can choose your G-Guardian, or not G-Guardian, or I guess G-Guardian 2, or your guards, and it gets also plus 10,000. I'm not 100% sure on that, but I believe it does work because the Dark or regular one says it generally the same thing. Choose any number of units and they get resist, so you can target the Guardian Circle ones. It's just nice to note, although it's better to put on the Vanguard anyways. But you can I believe you can put on your Guardians or Guards as well. Just something to note, I guess, if you wanted to try that. To troll or something, whatever. But yeah, that's basically all the other triggers that you could run, besides like vanillas. That's basically it. Oh, also Flame Seed Salamander is also a card. I'm sorry, I completely forgot about the card. It's also a stand trigger, 4K. I wouldn't opt to run it unless you run more than 8 stands. When the boost, it's not GB, it's like set 3, I believe, or it's set 4. You can, when the attack hit that this unit boosted, you kill a grade 0 and the Flame Seed goes back to the deck. So I guess it's nice to have to kill your boosters early, but I personally would run the GB ones over that one because they're both really strong. Next for our grade 1s, we run 4 Protect Orb. It's a Flame Dragon, so you can search it. This is the Unflipper, and I believe this Unflip is very necessary over the Rearguard protection, even though I don't run Dismal. But this deck is super counterblast heavy, so the Unflip is very nice for the deck. Next we run 4 Conroe. Very strong card. Arguably the best grade 1 deck, probably is. What you do is, when you call this card, you can reveal a grade 3, search for an Overlord grade 3, add it to your hand, discard a card, and then the other skill is on the rearguards and act. When you choose an Overlord and it gets the effect when it attacks, you unflip 2 damage. So, sorry, you have to choose specifically your Vanguard with Overlord if that matters. But in general, it's very strong because you can unflip 4 with the Ace or the Legend, or unflip X amount with the Cross in the end. It depends on how many times you attack. In general, this card's very strong. It's very good because you can do it early game, so you can get the Dragonic or your Vanguard that you want to use, or Stride Fodder, and you can set up for Burnout, so it's very strong. Next we run 3 SP Stride Fodders. They're Stride Fodders, so they're good. You should run them. It also searched Blade Master, but we don't have Blade Master, so it doesn't matter. I chose the SP ones over the Sign ones because I asked a lot of people in my locals and they said they like this one better. So if you guys have a different opinion, or which one you like better specifically, you can try leave one down in the comments and let me know, because it doesn't really matter to me. I'm very curious on which one's better. They both have their ups and downs. This one's nice and the other one's nice. So yeah. Next, lastly, for our grade 1s. This one's kind of a flex spot, but I really like this card. This is an Adele. It only works with Blade Master card on your Vanguard circle. So in other words, you have Titan, that's all. But what it does is it has the Blaze effect. Then once per turn, when your opponent's rearguard is put into the drop zone, if you have a Vanguard with Blaze, this gets the skill. You can unflip a damage, and then this card gets +4. What's interesting to note is that, yes, it's once per turn, but it is not GB. So let's say you're running Blade Master for some reason, you're on grade 3, and you retire something early, you can use this skill. It's good as an attacker or a booster, and it unflips, so it helps with your counterblast problems. I think this is just a solid choice. It's a very solid card. I'll show you what other people run. An option you can run is Athonic. When a rearguard is put into the drop zone by your effect, you can put this card into the soul and unflip 2 damage. The counterblast is very necessary in the deck, so unflipping is always nice. And it can combo with a card or a combo that I guess I can show you guys later. But I do run the combo in my deck except for this specific card. Another card that people like to run is Belog. It's a 6k GB 1 effect. When opponents when you guard with this card, if your opponent, the attack that this card guarded did not hit, you can choose a rearguard at rest and retire it. What I really don't like about this card is it's a 6k and this deck already lacks boosters. And a lot of times your opponent's rearguards don't attack the Vanguard, they attack a rearguard, for example. So you can play around this card, and it's kind of annoying just to have this card and it never goes off, and it's kind of annoying. But the retire is very nice. That's up to you if you want to run it or not, it depends. Other cards you can run is Tar. Tar is a very solid card that I used to run. Counterblast 1, Soul Blast 1, act once per turn. Choose one of your rear guards and it gets plus 4,000. One of your other rear guards gets plus 4,000, and then when it attacks a Vanguard, it search top 5 for a grade 3 or greater, and you add it to your hand. The grade 3 or greater has to be Flame Dragon, just saying, but normally all your grade 3s are Flame Dragon anyways. This card is very nice. I do really like it, but I just believe that Nadell was stronger because I valued the unflip over the utility, I guess you'd call this card, because there's cost on it. But yeah. Next, people run Monica, and I just not know, unfortunately. The art looks really nice, so that's probably why people run it. It's a 10k booster for Flame Dragons, but it doesn't matter too much, so yeah, it's just there. Next, for our grade 2s, arguably the best grade 2 in the deck. This is Nahalam. It's a GB 1 effect. During your turn, if you have an Overlord Vanguard, it gets plus 2,000. And the skill, Auto, when your grade 4 or greater Vanguard attacks, this unit gets plus 4,000. 5,000, sorry. So it's a 21k attacker when you use the Legend or the Ace. And it's a 16k whenever you have any other grade 4. Very solid card. Good for striding, doesn't need a booster. Good card. Next we run 4 Burnout, also a very good card. Unfortunately not SP. What it does is, when this unit is placed on the rearguard, you can put an Overlord to the bottom of the deck. Then you can Soul Blast 1, and if you do, you kill a card. It's a good card. You can use it early. It's not GB restricted. It puts grade 3s back to the bottom of your deck for more usage. If you need it, it helps you from not decking out. It's just a good card in general. It kills a card too for no counterblast. So you can use this card as setup and kill starters and other rearguards that are problematic. Very good card. Next we run 3 Hulkroar Dragon. This is part of the combo that I was talking about. What it does is, when your opponent's rearguard is put to the drop zone by one of your effects, you can counterblast 2, choose another one of your rearguards, and retire it. So what it combos with is like Denial Griffin. You can Denial Griffin the rearguard that's attacking for counterblast 1, then counterblast 2, and then retire the other rearguard in the front row, which makes it so that stand triggers are ineffective and then the other rearguard doesn't attack. So it's a very strong combo, I guess, if you have the counterblast to afford it. What I was talking about with Athonic is this card can work during your opponent's turn as well. So let's say you have one counterblast open, you use this card, counterblast 1, kill the rearguard. You have no counterblast left whatsoever, but you have this card and this card in the field. So you put this in the soul, unflip 2, and then use this card, and now you killed them, their rearguards and stuff. So it's kind of gimmicky. That's why I don't run it, because you just have to have the cards open, or you just set up for it solidly. So I don't run Athonic. But a lot of people run Angel Feather in my meta, in Hawaii specifically. So that's why I run 3 Hulk Roars. Other cards that you can run is Berserk Lord. Very solid card, I really like it. Counterblast 1, when you're grade 4 or greater Vanguard attacks. It's GB1 by the way. You can kill a grade 2 or lower. So you can kill grade 3s, not really much of a problem. But it's a good card. I used to run one of this and 2 of the Hulk Roar, but I switched it now. Other people run Nadim. Nadim has the Blaze effect. When it attacks the Vanguard, if your Vanguard is blazing for this, until the end of the battle, it gets plus 2000. And auto GB1, when this unit attack hits the Vanguard, it unflips the damage. What's very strong or good to note is that this first effect, the plus 2000 effect, is not GB, as you can see, I guess. So you can get the plus 2000 early, which may matter versus like... It may just matter when you're like rushing or swinging. Let's say you have this on the rear guard and you're playing against your Vanguard, your opponent's Vanguard is 6k, the 11k matters. Pretty good. Next, the other option that you could run is Burning Horn. 12k attacker when you have an Overlord Vanguard. The 12k only works when your opponent's at grade 3, when you're at grade 3, because all your grade 3s are Overlord and none of the grade 2s or lower have Overlord in its name. I understand why people run it. It's a basic beater, 12k beater. It doesn't need a booster as your Kagero units already lack. And it can push, I guess, when you're on grade 3 and your opponent's on grade 2. If you have a 7k booster, it makes 19, so it can push, I guess. I just don't run it. Other card people run, or like to run, is Neoflame. When this unit is placed on the rear guard, it gains the effect if your opponent's rear guard in the same column as this unit is retired by an effect. Counterblast 1, or it's not by an effect, it's just retired in general. You can Counterblast 1, kill the unit in the back row in the same column. I really don't like this card actually, because it's very conditional and it's an on-call skill, which I don't like. Your opponent needs to have a full column, and then one of them needs to die. I do understand why people like it, but it's a mediocre card, I think. You run it if you have the great, obviously, because it's the mate. But yeah, I don't run it. Next, for grade 3s, this is Dragonic Overlord the Cross and Dragonic Overlord the End with the Tekken Legend. So people run... I run 4. They're all SP, by the way. People opt to run like 3 sometimes. They do like 3-3-1 or 3-3-3. It's kind of weird. I like 4 because it's consistent, solid card. If you don't know what it does, it's Legions with Dragonic Overlord at the end. When you Legion, you can choose one of your cards on the Vanguard circle, so the Cross or the End, and then search for it. And then it also has the skill Counterblast 1. When this unit did not hit, when the attack did not hit that this unit like swung, you can Persona Blast this specific card and retire 2 units. So it's good for like pressure, I guess. The other card that we run, obviously the mate, we run 4. They're all BT05 SP, so we run it and it's nice. And I actually really like 4 because you can opt to run it or ride it early to put pressure on your opponent, as the second copy is technically searchable, and it's just a nice card to have. A lot of times this card specifically goes to the damage zone for some reason. I don't know why, but it just happens. So I run 4 and I have 4 SP, so I guess why not. But like riding the end doesn't matter too much because you're always striding. It's just kind of weird when you don't have stride and you're on the end, but it's helpful early game. I believe Team No Guard at one point ran 4 the Legend and then 4 the End without the Cross, but I like the Legion very much. It adds a lot of pressure and options that you can have, so it's nice. Lastly, we run 1 Dragonic Overlord the Legend. This is more of a Tekken option, but I do normally ride this. Mainly for the on-ride skill, Counterblast 1, Soul Blast 1. Search top 5 from Flame Dragon. The majority of our deck is Flame Dragon. You can search for grade 3s, Stride Fodders, Attackers, PGs, and Triggers, specifically heals, maybe even the draw trigger. But it's just a nice card to have, and it's solid. I don't use the top effect too much, but it does have an effect. It's GB2 once per turn. You choose a grade 3 or greater, I guess, Flame Dragon, discard it. It gets grade +1, 3 drive checks, plus 15,000, and when it attacks the rear guard, you can discard 3 and restand it. So it's pretty good. It has its usage. It fulfilled the role of the grate back in the day. The grate was used to like pull ahead or to come back. This card can do the same. You basically filter your deck. You have 6 drive checks, so you have more chance to hit triggers, or next turn again more chance to hit triggers, because you filtered the deck of 6 cards, and you also filtered your hand of 3 cards, so you can discard all the grade 3s that you may have. So that's my grade 3s. I run 9. What other people I see normally run is Dragonic Overlord the Great. It's Allegiance with the Dragonic Overlord, Dragonic Neoflame, and then it has 2 effects. So besides Legion, when this card's in Legion, you can swing at the rear guard, counterblast 1, discard 2, restand it. So kind of close to this guy. And then second effect is when this unit hits, you can retire the same thing on the Vanguard circle. So either this card or this card if you're in Legion, and choose an opponent's rear guard and retire it. What's good about the bottom effect is that it's not GB. None of this card is obviously GB. So if you have 2, you can swing early and retire this and kill a unit if they're like rushing. It's just a good card, but it's technically the same as the Legend, and this card it's good, but I like the option and pressure of Dragonic Overlord the Cross and the End, so I don't run it. I also only have 2 and they're Legion rares, so it's whatever. Next, another card that you can run is Spherical Lord. What it does is, the top effect's really good, the bottom effect is like okay. Bottom effect is counterblast 2. When this unit is placed on the Vanguard circle, you can search your deck for a card with Overlord, write it as stand, and then call this card to the rear guard. That's really good, but it's counterblast heavy, because the deck already is counterblast heavy, so yeah. The top effect is, I guess, what you'd mainly run it for. When a grade 4 or greater Vanguard with Overlord in its card name attacks, this unit gets plus 5,000. So it's like Nahalem, pretty much the same. It's very strong, but it's very counterblast heavy. And normally you use this with the Legend, but if you do use it with the Legend, that's like counterblast 3, because you want to use the Legend skill as well. So it's very counterblast heavy, unfortunately. But its top effect is very strong, so it is a card that you can run. What's good to note is that this card is not Overlord, so you can pitch it with the Ace, and it can be sometimes awkward, I guess, but the top effect is strong, so that's why you run it. Next, you can also run the OG Dragonic Overlord, or the Break Ride, or maybe even Rebirth, but I feel like they're more budgety options. The Break Ride's okay because you can use it with the Legend, kind of. You don't get the like swing rear guard, swing Vanguard, because it doesn't work. But you can swing rear guard, discard 1 with the Break Ride, and restand it instead. So it's like a less costly Break Ride, or a less costly swing. So I guess it's nice because you do plus technically, like 1. But yeah. Anyways, for our strides, we run 1 Vortex Desire. When you attack, you unflip any card on your G-Zone, preferably this normally. You do that, and then when this unit attacks, or hits, you retire as many grade 2 or lower rear guards as there are Flame Dragons on the Vanguard. Your heart counts 2, so this is 1. Normally you're on like, any Dragonic Overlord is a Flame Dragon, so you have 2 minimum, and if you're in Legion you can retire 3. But this card cannot kill grade 3s. It's just good to note. But it's good, you should always flip because it sets up GB2 and sets up with this card. Next is 4 Blade Master Titan, very strong card. Much needed for the deck. provides mid-game and accessible, very easy retire. What it does is Counterblast 1, flip anything. This card retires for as many Blade Masters are face up in the G zone, G unit, and it also gets the continuous skill. When your Vanguard is blazing, it gets a crit, which is very strong. And yeah, this card is just really good. It helps a lot in the deck. There's not really much I can say. You should always run 4 of this. It's a very strong card. That's all I can say. Next we run 4 Dragonic for the Ace. The Ace is a very strong card. Generally it's a finisher. What it does is Counterblast 2, flip this card. It gets the once per turn effect where it gets drive check -1, and then at the end of the battle this unit attacks, you discard 1 card and then 1 Overlord card. This card restands and gets +5. What I mentioned before in my earlier deck profile is you can stride this first, Counterblast 4, flip 2 copies, and you get the skill. So it can be first stride, but you Counterblast 4 and flip 2 of them. But yeah, in general it's a very good card. I recommend it at 4. Next we run 2 Novell. Before I didn't even run this card, but I decided to because it's pretty strong. For the people that run 4, I disagree with it completely because this card is not a mid-game card whatsoever. Not even a late-game card. Okay, don't quote me on it. It's not a late-game card. It's a late game card. Like, if it's kind of late, but not really, you shouldn't use this. The Ace is always stronger, 100%. Unless you know that they just can't guard this or something. But it's good when they're at 5 and, you know, they can't guard, so they're dead. They're just straight dead no matter what. But yeah, I run 2. It's a good card. It can win games, I guess. It's not good with at 4. Don't run it at 4, please. Next, for our G Guardians, I guess. At the moment, I'm running Screw, but I took it out, and it goes off and on with Mustafa, because I do really like Screw's effect to become a 25k guard, but Mustafa is also, it's SP by the way, so that's a reason to run it. But Mustafa's it is SP, but it's a good first stride because it guarantee kills one thing. So if you have the option to go into it over Vortex, it's basically Counterblast 1, flip something, kill something, and then if you flip the Mustafa, or for as many Mustafas face up, you choose that many rear guards, it gets the skill, it on hit unflip 1 basically. That's not what you run it for. What you run it for is Counterblast 1, kill something guaranteed. So it can be first stride if you need to kill something. I'm still debating actually between this Mustafa and Screw you, whatever. But at the moment it's Screw. I might change it later on. It just depends. Just keep in mind that this is a very solid option. Anyways, I personally run Screw at the moment. Discard 1, gets plus 10k shield. But remember, you cannot use this card if you don't have any face down cards in your G unit. There has to be one face up in order to use the skill. Didn't know that until like recently, I guess. But yeah. Next we run 3 Denial Griffin. They're all SP. Very good card, Counterblast 1. Kill the attacking unit. Just very simple. Pretty broken. One of the best G Guardians in the game currently. Not much I can say about it. It works with the combo as I mentioned before. Then lastly we run Defeat Flare. This is a very strong card. People are very scared of it, so they try and play around it. Or don't commit to the field. What it does is, when your opponent's Vanguard attacks your Vanguard, you can Counterblast 1, put 2 Overlords in the drop back to the bottom of the deck, and retire your entire opponent's back row. Resist, don't care, it retires everything. So that pony that heals your opponent, it's dead with this card. It's such a good card, and people play around it. What's weird about this card is I don't normally use it too much because people are so scared about it and don't commit. Because obviously if they commit they lose a lot of rear guards, right? Normally I use it when my opponent has at least 2 or more cards in the back, or I just need it for the guard, I guess. But it's a very strong card, obviously. It helps because it puts Overlord back to the bottom. So I put basically Dragonic Overlord the cross to the bottom so I can Legion if I'm decking out. And yeah, it's just a good card. If you want, this is very bad, but if you want, you can not run it and fit one more thing. And people may still play around it because they're very scared about this card. It's very strong. Another card that you can run, I guess, in the G zone would be this guy from Fighter's Collection. When it hits, you can Soul Blast 1, retire an entire row. So it can kill up to 3 things in the back row, for example. I don't run it. It's a good card, but it's an okay card but it's on hit. And it doesn't flip something else, so it doesn't proc the GB or the Blade Master. It's whatever. Next, another G unit you can run, I don't have it on me, is Asile Orb. It's the generic G-Guard from Fighter's Collection. When your opponent has 4 or less G-Guards, it gets plus 5k shield. What's good to note about this G-Guards is, besides Screw that I'm running currently, all your G-Guards don't guard for a lot. They're all 15k. So if your opponent has like a Vanguard that is a lot and you need a G-Guard, you're kind of like, it's weird because your G-Guards don't help you in that specific situation besides Screw. So Asile Orb is pretty viable if you want to run that. This deck is very strong. It's probably tier 1. Depends on who you ask. When going up against this deck, don't call rearguards, I guess. Or don't overcommit to the field. When you want to push, you push, but in the mid game, I guess, I would suggest calling like front row rearguards, maybe 1 or 2, and just leave it. It's very annoying for this deck when you don't call rearguards because you don't get the most of your skills off, like Blade Master, because you can expect which strides your opponent or this deck will go into, assuming they go into a stride. But it's very strong. This deck is very strong at controlling and stuff. So if you can rush them and not get punished for it and like push them out, you can probably win. If you're playing Aquaforce, Skyros is very helpful for the deck. What's good to note about Skyros is that when you're on Skyros and you have like resist units in the back too, Blade Master is very hard to use because you don't get any of the retire skills. And don't quote me on this, but if you're on Skyros and let's say my opponent attacks with Vortex Desire, let's say I'm the Aquaforce player, right? And my opponent attacks with the Vortex Desire, and my opponent G-Guards, or IG Guard, and I'm Skyros. I believe that Skyros procs because it's continuous, so the G-Guard goes back to the G-Zone face up, and now you're at GB, so your front row gets resist, and I'm not too sure if you can retire with Vortex or not. This situation hasn't happened with me, but it's very possible that your front row just can't get retired. Not entirely sure about that, but someone should look it up and comment below. But yeah. So if you're playing against this deck and it's very troublesome, my suggestion to you is either rush hard and try to kill them, because Kagero isn't very good early game technically besides Burnout, unless they're running counter rush cards like Sudeg. Oh, that's the starter that I forgot to mention. Basically, you can put it into Soul. When something is retired, you can put it into Soul and they choose a card and retire it. It's okay. It's good as counter rush. Other people run regular Berserk Lord, Counterblast 2, kill something. Also an okay card. It's kind of heavy Counterblast, but I see why people run it. But yeah, so rushing can be an option. It depends on what they run and stuff. Or not calling a lot of rear guards. Or just playing around it with your own effects, like I guess you can, if you're playing Shadow Paladin, you may be able to play around it, but the G-Guards are so strong that it's kind of scary. So that's why Kagero is just really strong in the meta. Link Joker is very hard for against this deck. What I'm saying is that, this deck, Kagero, is very strong against Link Joker, specifically Chaos Breaker. So if you're playing Link Joker, good luck. I'm not too sure about that matchup. But good luck. This deck is very strong, and I hope you enjoyed this deck profile, and I guess deck analysis, with tips and tricks, I guess, on how to beat it. Not really, because I run this deck. But this is also like a deck profile and what you could run to improve the deck, or what you can try out. So again, I hope you guys enjoyed. If you liked it, please like, comment, and subscribe. If you have any questions or concerns or something you want to talk about this deck, please leave one in the description down below. Or if there's any card I missed, whatever, please leave one down below and let other people know. We also have a giveaway going on, so check that out. 500 sub giveaway. We reached 500. Yes. We're giving away a box of Blessing of Divas and some other cool prizes. So check that out. It's in the on the channel. And then you can also check out our social media. Facebook and Twitter links are in the description as always, so check that out. And I'll see you all later.